Hey everybody, welcome back to Fast Charging with B&B. I'm Bear,
And I'm Brian.
and Brian is out in the Dominican Republic with hardware issues on the computer. So he just felt it would be better if we went ahead and just live streamed from Bear's workshop today. And today we got a show for you. We're going to talk about EV fires. We're going to talk about a little bit of Nikola, a little bit of Lucid. We're going to talk about some odd EV stuff, recreational vehicles, boats, things like that, and a little bit of Tesla. We're never going to leave Tesla out. They're the leaders, except for GM, of course. What do you got going on, Brian?
Just having a lot of fun and dentistry. So that's great. And I think with that said, we might as well just, kind of jump into it.
Yeah, we
What's
should.
if, yeah, the
Well,
first topic.
the first topic is Bollinger, but before we get to that, I do want to tell you that next time you need some dentistry, I've always done a little side work, always different things of side work. I'd be more than willing to try and give you a cap or whatever you might need next time, just for fun. Save you a lot of money.
I don't know if it would. You strike me as as an expensive town barber, as it were.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can do everything: butcher, town barber, dentistry, and I've got some snake oil also that I sell. So just
It sounds like a great deal.
so our first topic today is Bollinger, and
Yeah.
they have given up. They have given up.
Yeah. Well, is there a huge market for $180,000 bricks?
Well, that's the aerodynamics that it had was of a brick. So yes, well they did have a decent amount of pre-orders. Well, not a decent amount. I think it was like 1,000 or so, uh, and they have refunded the money, and they are going to try and make class 3, 4, 5, and 6 vehicles, which are like the type of trucks that are the big box trucks that haul things around consumer goods or like deliver furniture, things like that. Like a Hertz rental is going to fall into one of those classes. Whether or not they ever succeed, I don't know, because it's not good news for them to have to give up on what they were doing. So uh,
I hope part of me says I hope they didn't spend too much money getting started with this, but part of me says I hope they did because otherwise, what are you doing? What
right,
is all this for?
yeah,
But I think if this powertrain, because it was a robust powertrain, I think it would be easier to adapt to delivery vehicles, and then you don't have the same safety constraints. They're not tested in the same way. So a box is fine for a delivery van in the way that it might not be for a passenger vehicle.
that is true. Those are some very good points. Um, I'll tell you what, though, it's just it had a unique design to it, and I kind of liked it as far as the looks go. But again, $180,000 is a little bit on the cray cray side, you know. You know.
So in the audio, MD Hofsty is saying that I'm a little bit too loud. And JJ said, yes, please turn Brian down to zero. For
Uh,
those who don't know, JJ is a regular, and he gives us a good friendly ribbing from time to time,
but
as required.
I have lowered your volume, maybe.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
still
we'll
don't know how to
see.
work this stuff. I am trying to take a look at the chat also. And let's see, the SpaceX launch was postponed 2 hours, so you have no excuse not to be
Mm-hmm.
here. And thank you, Mark, for coming back. And let's see, MD
Matt.
Hofstein.
Matt?
Who? Mark.
MD Hofsty. It's Matt. Matt.
Oh, Matt says, well, after learning this millennial money, just a group of you that are in my generation talking about stock script. Okay. All right. Um, and he's not concerned about SpaceX, in case we were wondering. JJ is bringing up the fact that Nikola had a big red FCEV delivery, a fuel cell truck that left on the I-17 last week on the back of on a trailer and supposedly headed to Anheuser-Busch for their first delivery.
Nice.
And
That'd be great.
yep. And Paul, thank you for telling us the AV's all good. We didn't even bother to ask because we had such faith. So, Yeah,
Absolute confidence.
we had we both had so many issues. I've This is the first time we're doing the multi stream thing where I'm connected to his video and with my new computer that I got last week. Everything is running smoother, but I just had it fail on me like 17 times today, and I kept on having to fix it. So we're really hoping it doesn't fail again. All right, and if someone could let me know if I have fixed Brian's audio because I did lower it, so that is still
So,
okay.
with Bollinger giving up on that, any other big, exciting projects that may or may not pan out?
Well, there is a company in Italy called Magnus, and I'm saying that wrong, but I feel good about saying that one wrong because of
Magones!
Magonis. So
Magones!
Magonis, uh, they're building an electric boat. It's kind of a cool little boat. It looks kind of neat from the pictures. Has a weird bow, but other than that, um, they've got this thing going, and they're only at 22 knots on the open sea, which I actually think is kind of on the low side. A 30 kilowatt electric motor, and I think the battery pack was in the uh, uh, 60 kilowatt range. And boats float, so I think if you make them heavier, it's not going to have as dramatic effect. But what do I know? Um, I don't know. This is a little iffy for me. I'd like to see some electric boats. I know they have some. There is an electric pontoon boat, goes about the same speed as this, but that's been out for a couple of years. So just kind of wondering where they plan on going with this, because a typical boat that someone might have in a lake, it's going to go 40 to 50 miles per hour. You've got some that will go faster, and you've got some that will go slower. So they really need to get going a little bit more on this. I think I would have thought that the problem would not be the speed, but it would be where do you put all that battery?
Right. Yeah.
So
I think the speed, so an interesting point that was raised to me a while back was that, and it might have been you that raised it, is batteries are the motor. They are the engine of an electric vehicle. You can't have a fast EV without a big battery. Um, and if they're putting a small pack in there, you just can't do high drain without causing damage or danger.
yeah, but I, I agree, but I just don't know where this is going. I'm not sure that we're going to see success on the open waters. There's a lot of
Yeah.
companies that make boats, and whether it's Sun
Right?
Tracker, Yamaha, there's a lot of people out there, and they're going to have to start looking towards this. We saw the one GM had some sort of motor that they're going to be putting in for power sports, and
Right.
but that was still underwhelming also. So
And I'm not going to joke here. GM will be a tough competitor in the EV water sports space because that's something that they have water. They have experience in the space, and if they're developing vehicles at the same time, there's a lot of technological overlap. And this boat is beautiful, as are many Italian vehicles. Their styling is not to be, looked down on. But again, I just don't see this product. And in the comments, we've got Intimidator J saying 22 knots for an electric boat is pretty decent so far. And yeah, and also adding batteries weigh a lot. Water friction is tough to overcome. And those are all fair points.
oh well, yeah, it is, but stop and look at the military boats. We're talking destroyer size, aircraft carrier size. Those boats, as big as they are and as heavy as they are, can still go 25 knots.
Yes, yes, with outrageous power consumption, though.
Yes. Yeah, okay, they got a nuclear reactor. So what? Go get one at
Right.
the store. No, but I understand they have some serious horsepower behind that. What I don't understand, I guess, is why they're putting such a small motor on this. 40 horsepower. Well, I guess that's where it's at right now. But a 40 horsepower motor, My boat has, I think, 310 horsepower, so or 320 horsepower with two motors. Yeah, they're gas motors, but there isn't anything there for me. I don't have options. So, uh, what are they missing on this? Are they working on the finesse of this nice looking boat, or are they really trying to get something that's gonna really move? I don't know.
Can't see it being a mass market vehicle. And I think this is more of a showcase
Yeah,
piece myself. And I don't know. I don't know that we need to spend too much time on it.
yeah, we don't. Uh, but we'll just finish off with this boat is around $78,000, which is actually a lot cheaper than a lot of the new boats that you would buy from like Yamaha. Um,
And for something that beautiful too.
yeah, so the price is actually relatively decent. But
Yeah.
since we're on outdoor vehicles, let's talk about RVs.
Yeah.
So Winnebago is going to reveal an all electric motorhome next week at a Florida RV show. Now they have not announced any part of it, but so we don't know if this is going to be a Class B, which is what's in the picture, or a Class C or a Class A. And those are all the drivable RVs. Class B is the smallest. Class C is the middle of the road, and the Class A is the one that looks like a bus. If you guys don't know, the one that I'm showing you now here in the picture was a concept from 2018, which is I would never drive anything that looked like that, just because that paint scheme is horrible. That is obviously based on an original gas powered chassis. You can see the grill up front to cool off the engine that would not exist. So this was not all from scratch. This is a Class A, if I didn't mention that already. So I would hope that whatever they come out with next week, and hopefully maybe we can report on it, is something that's a little bit more aerodynamic, because the Class A's have the same aerodynamics as a Bollinger truck, a brick. So hoping to see something a little bit more streamlined and more current. This particular concept was pretty poor as far as the range. It was 85 to 125 miles with a 127 kilowatt battery. A typical Class A is going to weigh up to uh, on the single axle about 25,000 pounds. So it's a much bigger load, and to have such a small battery in it was a little confusing, head scratching. Um, so
Real quick, we did get a comment from Lily Mae Patterson. Hey guys, Bear, can you turn your sound up? Brian is shouting. So that's something you can look at.
well, I could lower you a little bit,
Yeah, do that.
and that would
The
balance us out, and I'll raise
So the
you.
thing on the Winnebago is 127 kilowatt hour pack is barely bigger than what, the Model S and X have.
Yes,
And they are, I'm not sure if you're aware, somewhat smaller than a Winnebago.
somewhat.
And they still don't get, the kind of range you might require from a vehicle like that. So you would need, I would say, minimum 200 to 250 kilowatt hour to stand a chance at being a practical RV. 85 miles of range. What are you talking about? This is for people who love to get out, but not actually leave the city.
Yeah, yeah. This is not a grocery getter, and that's the kind of range that it has, and that's pretty awful.
It's an old Leaf.
Yeah, and hey, just a quick plug for myself. In the bottom here, there's an ad. This is for RV Share. That's my RV right there. I am getting ads for my own vehicle. That's a class.
Huh,
That's a Class C right there, in case anybody's
huh.
wondering. That's just. Oh, and there's my other one. That one's mine too. So I'm plugging
Those ads
myself.
are targeted.
Yeah,
They know what you like.
that's a really good target. They actually got the owner of the vehicle. So these are my two RVs. This pull behind, and that's a Class C. So anyway, just
So we do have a question about Lucid deliveries, but we will be getting to Lucid in a little bit.
yes, we will, and we will
And
we will chat it
yeah,
up with them. I'm
Oh,
afraid to
Canada.
move my microphone a little bit closer to make Lily happy, because every time I touch my microphone, I lose my audio. So let's. Okay. All right.
Maybe. Let us know if the balance is better. And as a reminder, if you guys could do me a huge favor, I know some of you are new here. Would you pretty please subscribe to Bear's Workshop? He is trying to get to 15,000 subs. He won't say it, but it's to get some folks off his back is what it is. You gotta have the subs to get the cred.
Yeah, that's right. 15,000 is my next goal. Brian, what's your next goal?
Also 15,000. Also 15,000. I'm at 13.2, I think,
Okay.
and I'm very excited about it. I'm super happy with all the folks who've decided that spending time listening to this clever jackass is something that is worth it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a real nice thing to say about yourself. So,
Hey,
yeah, if you guys are on my channel and you haven't seen Brian's channel, please take a look at it. My Tesla Weekend. Give him a sub. He needs it. He needs it really bad. We both appreciate it. We appreciate the support that you guys give us. We also both have Patreon accounts, which you can take a look at in the description below on this video, and think about giving us some support to keep us motivated. We appreciate that.
so Jason Pike is saying that your audio bear is still very low.
Still very low. All right. Well, we're gonna turn that up and see what we can do there.
If your levels look low in Streamlabs, I assume in OBS, I know Streamlabs is probably the same. You can go into advanced settings and crank it up beyond 100%.
In OBS.
I know in OBS you can. I don't know. I assume Streamlabs would do the same.
I will take a look at that real quick. Ooh, my sample rate is.
So while you're doing that, it says no change with volume, still bad. So while you're doing that, I'm going to move on to this amazing survey. Americans want cheaper EVs with over 500 miles of range. What would you like, Bear?
I would like 600. I'm a greedy American. I want to go big and go fat.
I
So
want a freight car and a pony and some. If you could get me some passes to the buffet, that'd be nice. I
you know
mean,
what?
yeah,
I could do that. I could probably get you a pony also, or at least you could leave it here and we'll take care of it while you're away.
add it to your dozen dogs.
Hey, I don't have a dozen.
How many do you have?
11.
Okay, I apologize.
Good.
That was wrong of me
Don't do that again. Don't do that
to be
again.
hyperbolic.
Oh, one of my dogs actually became famous yesterday because we did a video
Oh,
on the Cyber Quad for
oh,
kids. And while we were just driving around the yard, one of my dogs, his name is Tank, he was just standing there looking like he always does. He's got an IQ of about 3, but he's a real nice dog. I just turned up the volume, by the way, if anybody can give me some feedback on that. But anyway, yeah, people were commenting about the Great Pyrenees that was standing there, which I think you've met them, right, Brian? Did you meet them or did I lock them up?
a couple Goldens. I don't remember if I met the Pyrenees, but so let's see. So the truth is, for range, I mean, I'd love 1,000 miles. I'd love to be able to charge or gas up or fuel up once a year. It'd be great. But being practical, I would rather have a much cheaper, much lighter car with a realistic range. But
Yeah, so my thing on this, being serious, if I can be, is that when I had a car that was a gas car, I would go get gas once a week, give or take, And now I plug in every night because I probably need to. The range on my car is not really what it's delivered as. They say you're going to get 326. Um, I've had battery degradation, so I'm at about 300 now. But then I can only charge to 80%. And I know this goes for most of the EVs, but the lithium phosphate batteries are going to change that. Um, so I'm after going from 300, now I can only go to 80%. Technically, I'm at 240 miles. It's not quite where I want to be. I want to be able to
Sure.
drive the car around for a week without actually having to worry about it. And maybe on Thursday nights, I plug it in. Not every night.
Right.
And my wife and I, we do the cord swap with the two cars, making sure that one of us is always plugged in. You know, the one with the lower charge. Or if she's got to go to work, then it's always going to be her. If she has to go, I got to make sure that she's got enough to get there and back. So she's got to take priority, which sometimes leaves me a little bit drained. I know I could put in a second charger, and I'm going to eventually, but not everybody has that option. So that's the type of range I'd like to be able to see where I'm not having to worry about it every day. Because when you have two electric vehicles, it does complicate the charging situation a little bit.
Yeah. Um, and I think that's probably enough on that topic. What do you think?
Sure, sure, sure. But so
Speaking of,
let's do the
yeah,
nice
speaking of range,
segue. Speaking of range,
yeah, AMD Ryzen affects the range of new Tesla cars. I was skeptical when I saw this because it's a significant drop. It's like 14 miles of range.
yes, it is.
Um, but then I crunched the numbers and isn't, it is believable. It is believable. Um, shocking. Shocking.
What numbers did you crunch?
It's, I looked up how many miles per kilowatt, and it's something like uh, 0.17 kilowatts per mile. Um, and so then taking 14 miles, that's only like uh, 2,000 watts. And depending how long your car is running, even an extra, 50 watts is only 40 hours.
Okay. So if you use your touchscreen less, like say on a long drive, and you're not touching it, do you think that you're going to use less power?
I My guess would be no, because you're probably still doing a lot of processing in the background between maps and whatnot, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't imagine, streaming Netflix versus using a map is going to be much different.
Well, I think it would be because you're using a lot more internet to you're drawing in a lot more data through the internet than you would, I believe, on
Easy
maps.
data. It's easy data to process.
Video data? Uh,
A cheap phone can do it, but um, I don't think I think this is to me the takeaway here is that uh, the efficiency really matters, and if other car makers are going to try and put in big FSD full self-driving technological suites, advanced infotainment systems, their range would suffer to get to where Tesla was a few years ago.
oh yeah,
And if they were to upgrade all the way to where Tesla is now, it would impact them dramatically.
that is true. This is almost enough about this topic. I do want to say that this new chip was supposed to be in the U.S. cars starting in the second quarter. Now, this article is from a car that was in Australia, but there is rumors that it may come out sooner than second quarter, and we have a Model 3 on order, which is supposed to be delivered anywhere from March 8th to the 31st. So if we happen to get one of these cars, I assume we'd get some sort of notice, an order update, saying that we're going to get less range. And one of the main reasons my wife wanted a new car was because of the range. So I don't know how she's going to feel about losing 14 miles so that her touchscreen is going to be a little more zippy
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I tried to take a look. I think the Ryzen is already in the refreshed S and X, but not yet in the 3 and Y.
yeah, they just make it seem like it's coming soon. And the way that Tesla does these upgrades is it kind of goes like, okay, we're out of this part, we're upgrading now to this one. And when I got my Model Y, I think I beat the the build date for like the new center console by like 3 days because they ran out My car was built like February, early February on like the 8th or something. And I spoke to someone who said, okay, well, any cars built after the 5th, I think it was the 5th, is going to have the new console. So your build date's February 8th, so you're good. You got the new console. So, they don't have all new for model year 2022. They just make these changes as the line goes along, which is great because I like it that way. You don't have to wait for a new model
Right?
year to get something that may be important to you.
Yeah. So in the chat, we are getting a lot of comments about Lucid, and we will get to those in a little bit. Lucid is coming up. We might even talk about Nikola. Remains to be seen. Let's see. hmm
What a tease. What a tease.
Oh, who knows, man? Who knows? What I'd love to do is go through the whole show and then not cover it. So I
Hey,
think we
you know
can.
what? I think I missed the super chat earlier. Yes,
Oh,
from Mark. Mark, thank you for your super chat. It just dawned on me that scrolled past before I could say something. Then I nearly forgot about it. But thank you, Mark, for the super chat.
MD Hofsty is saying, I have seen some Ryzens in Model Ys, according to Tesla Daily, I think.
Okay, and that's American made Model Ys?
Yeah, that's a good question. Don't know. So, um, electric cars are less green to make than petrol, but make up for it in less than a year, new analysis reveals. This isn't a surprise, I imagine, to anyone watching this because you guys already know EVs and you get EVs, but it's nice to have the actual data.
It is. I was glad to see this because need more articles that are just being realistic and not just trying to slam something to slam something. There's so much bad media out there for anybody who just wants to make some clickbait. But this seems to be a genuine article with genuine numbers and to prove what they're saying, which
Right.
you don't really see that too much anymore. So
Right. The caution with bad news about electric cars is you have to remember who the moneyed interests are that oppose electric cars. The fossil fuel industry is very big. Legacy car makers are very big. And for that matter, when it comes to just general Tesla and Elon hate, you also have to look at all of aerospace and a lot of the AI companies. He's disrupting a lot of industries, and that makes a lot of enemies. And he's eating their lunch, and they're not happy about it. And it's easy for their competitors to buy off simple people.
yeah, you forgot unions in that list of haters
Oh,
also.
sure. Well, I don't think they're as moneyed as any of the other institutions.
Oh, I think they're well into it because they believe that electric cars are easier to produce and require less manpower. Therefore, uh, they don't want them because there'll be less jobs. Not only that, Tesla's not a union shop, so they're not going to support that.
And for that matter, they're right. Do you know how many American union workers it takes to build a Mach E?
None.
None.
Yeah.
None.
If
Yeah.
anybody doesn't get that joke, we can explain it later.
Yeah. Just let us know in the chat if you need
Let's see.
an update on that.
Your boy JJ, Toyota. How do you say that? The
Mirai, I
Mirai.
think.
Okay. Toyota Mirai Carry set a record going 845 miles. The Mirai is a hydrogen sedan that Toyota makes
Mhm.
and sells 10 of them a year in certain
In California,
in California. So,
where the 5 fueling stations are.
yes. So, but it would be nice if they could actually have something in place like infrastructure and maybe, you know, 845 you got to go 845 miles. There's no place to charge to fill up. So, uh
That is, yeah,
yeah. Uh
potentially problematic.
Mr. or Mrs. Sang, I'm not going to try and say the first name, wants to know if we own any EV charger stock. I
We
do not.
don't.
I don't.
Yeah, I have looked at it. Yeah, I've looked at it, but I have not. Um, I did a video about the financial case for chargers. I'm always so I've consulted a number of businesses before where I'll write business proposals for them, or they'll ask me to research a particular market for them. And I decided to go ahead and write up a business proposal for EV charging. And by the time I got to the end of it, I realized I can't pitch this to anyone. It's not. It's not good. It's a tough business.
Yeah. Well, there was an article out today, and I almost grabbed it for our show. That BP is saying that EV charging stations are soon going to be more profitable than gas stations. So I did not hit on it. We did not take it, but there was a few charging station articles today, and we did grab one of them, and we'll be getting to that maybe at the end of this 1 hour show. Maybe not.
And we did get a good comment here. MD Hofty said, was it MD Hofty? I oh Paul Crowder said, I own EV charger stock, Tesla.
Yeah.
That is the largest charging network in the world, I believe. Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so.
yeah. I guess we both have to reverse what we just said. Yes, we own EV charger
Yes,
stock.
so I do own that.
Yeah, we
I do own
really
that.
didn't think that out, did we? Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Paul, for setting us straight. Um, Mark says the Tesla conspiracy on Now You Know is a classic. I haven't seen that. Have you?
No, I don't remember if I've seen that one, but it sounds like one I might have seen. Um, but I can definitely go check that out because, yeah, there's a lot of opposition to everything that he does. There is some chat about JJ is really a big fan of hydrogen, and others in the comments are pushing back on that. They don't necessarily want them. Um, I've made my position pretty clear on hydrogen in the past. I don't think it's the path forward. I think there are too many obstacles, many of them boiled straight down to the physics involved in hydrogen.
Well, we shall see. Neither of us could make the decision whether or not to cancel it or keep it going. So,
It's not up to us. And I don't know how many of you know this. Policymakers seldom consult with us
it's very seldom.
uh, to to make their big decisions.
That's a fact check. True. They seldom come to us and say, "What do you think?" I don't know
So
why. Maybe they don't have my
yeah.
number.
So as long as the stream doesn't cut out, we can go on to the next topic.
Okay, why would it cut out?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Oh, so Nikola and Proterra enter into a battery supply deal for semi trucks. I think this is an important topic for two reasons. One, it's Nikola, and a lot of my viewers like Nikola, so I want to bring them this information. But the other thing that's important about this is these companies that are keep falling behind in supply with supply issues. It's because they're not looking for more than one supplier or three suppliers or four suppliers, whatever they need to. They're not hedging their bets. And what Nikola is doing here is a smart move, and from an inexperienced company, but they're making sure that they are going to have batteries going forward in the future. They already have a battery deal uh, with the other company that's called, I don't know, but LG. Ooh, yeah, I would look for another battery company if I had LG batteries, who still have not replaced my battery in my house because it's in danger of overheating. But it just makes sense to hedge your bets and have two different sources for batteries because those are going to be the hardest things to find in the supply chain as time goes on. What do you think, Brian? Oh, did Brian cut out or is he just frozen again? He keeps doing that
My
to me.
eyes, they're so dry.
Ah, Brian did that to me earlier where he just didn't move for like 10 seconds and I thought his screen froze up on him. I knew he was going to do it to me again, but
Had to. I had to. So Obviously, the smart move is to diversify because, and like you said, so I, as a company, absolutely believe in LG. They have made some tragic, massive missteps. Um, I'm getting this individual Maga Hai Sang is asked a number of times now if I own Lucid stock. We will get onto Lucid in a moment. Um, Nikola is going to be going through a serious volume of batteries. And if you plan to, and also there, thank you, JKM. There is also, without competition, you're not going to get the best price. And there's often going to be someone who comes along with a better price. And that could be what this is about.
It could be.
Because shaving 10% off the cost of batteries would represent a massive, massive price shift on something with a pack the size of what you expect to see in a Nikola.
Yes, which is going to be very, very large.
Yeah. Is Brian a Tesla bot?
He locked up for a minute.
It was a long time before you noticed, dude.
Well, I was ranting. You can't take me off my pedestal. I'm not going to stop and look at you because you always make me laugh when you're just sitting there not doing anything, and then to see you frozen again. Ah, no, that was good. I'm going to have to come up with something in the future when you're
So
talking.
we got a comment a little while ago that I wanted to address from Mr. C. Did you guys see the Jay Leno review of the Lucid Air? What did you think?
Did we see it? Yeah, we got it right here.
Yeah, we saw it. That's on our work list today.
Yes, that is. And we are looking at the video right now. And Jay took a drive with Peter Rawlinson. He met with an engineer in the first half of the video where they just talked and talked about it, which was, it's interesting if you got an interest in Lucid. Um, they talked a lot about the design aspects of the car, some of the things that I didn't know, like to increase the drag coefficient. Right underneath the headlights, there's actually an air gap that comes out of the hood. So there are actual functional hood scoops so that airflow would go through the car better, which is very interesting. Um,
I think that goes back to the racing pedigree.
mhm.
Lucid's background before before consumer automotive was racing cars, electric race cars, and that'll give you some different perspectives.
Yes.
And I would say the engineering part of it isn't just interesting for Lucid people. I think it's interesting for anyone who goes, who if you like Doug DeMuro's deep dives on cars, I think you would enjoy it. Um, but yeah, it was pretty good,
Yeah.
pretty good. And Jay astutely pointed out about Peter's accent.
Yes. That it was very Arizonian.
Yeah, classic Arizona accent on Peter Rawlinson.
Yes. Classic.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. You sound just like it to me.
Me and Peter Rawlinson sound exactly the same.
Yeah, I can't tell you guys apart when you call me on the telephone, both of you,
Both. Yes. When he's
because
calling
that's the
you
thing.
for advice, right?
Would you believe no?
No, I don't believe it.
I
And
don't believe it. Um, yeah, the Lucid is getting out into the hands of a lot more people. It's getting reasonably good reviews from those people. We haven't seen a lot of super deep consumer level reviews yet, in part because I think the people who can afford a Founders Edition Lucid aren't generally YouTubers.
well, actually, that could be debatable. There could be some of these YouTubers who are just making money hand over fist, like Stephen Mark Ryan,
Yeah.
but he only puts all of his money into Tesla stock. And
I
of
don't think
course,
he has a car.
he probably doesn't.
I don't think he has a car. But then there's, Marquez Brownlee, but he's got a new Plaid, I think, or anyway, he's not in the market.
Yeah. Stephen Mark Ryan is a Tesla fanboy. I don't think he would ever approach
Yeah.
a car like this.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Why don't they have EV chargers at rest stops? I have a thought on that. They want you out of there in 10 minutes not 20 to 40.
That's true. That is true.
And space in the summer, at least on popular roadways, space is at a premium.
Yeah, but you know what? I still think it wouldn't be a bad place to have them. The only thing that I could think of is maybe it has something to do with the power requirements and getting the power to rest stops because they're usually out in the middle of nowhere. And maybe there is a lack of infrastructure for something like that. Possibly.
I think it's a great question. I think it's a great question.
Yeah, and that was from Mr.
Uh,
C.
yeah, Paul said for the first couple of podcasts, he thought you were Peter Rawlinson.
That's
because visually you look alike too. You both have that classic Arizona look.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. And I mean, just the other day, some guy asked me to sign his car, and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Come on, this is my new Lucid Air. Would you like to sign it?" So I keyed it up. I said, "You're welcome." So we're good.
He's just saying rest stops have food. What do you mean? Um, I think we're talking about highway rest stops, which are primarily just bathrooms with coffee and maybe snacks, as opposed to travel stations, like truck stations, like travel centers,
Yeah,
which have everything. And with those, I think the only reason they would hesitate is if the space is not available. But I think travel centers should absolutely have it because if you can lock someone in for 30, 40 minutes, they're going to come inside and spend money.
yes, they are. Yeah, my
Um,
problem with rest areas, by the way, is whenever I see a rest area now, I can't help but think about the movie Something About Mary.
right.
It just that's just whenever I see it.
6 minute abs. You can't get a workout in six. What are you talking about?
Well, what if someone comes out with the? Yeah, that
Yeah.
movie was too much.
Um, or Mark says, or go the inductive charging route. The reason Elon said that inductive charging is a no-go is because there's like a 10% loss of efficiency, which maybe for the individual consumer isn't a big deal. But if the whole country is on EVs, that's a substantial amount of the entire grid that's just being lost to the air.
Yeah, well, they could always design something like slot car racing. They do that for trains. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I just can't see that working long term because of road damage and things like that. Um,
There's somewhere where they're installing a pilot program to test it. But the real problem is, are you going to every so often get into a particular lane and slow down significantly so that you can stay over it longer? Because at 60 miles an hour, you're only going to be over a mile's worth of coils for 1 minute. And it's
yeah,
what are you going to do? Have 20 miles of inductive cable? It's it'd be it'd be costly. It'd be prohibitively costly.
well, you could on the interstates you could have one lane be the charging lane instead of the.
Right, but setting up 10 or 20 or 50 or 1,000 miles of inductive charging lanes would be
Yeah,
probably
it's very expensive and it's something that really would never work. Um,
the plows. Paul says the plows up north would wreck it.
Everything would wreck it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, every time there's an accident, you could have damage to the lines. Uh,
the salt on the roads would wreck it.
just dirt getting into it would wreck it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's just so many things, and then
yeah.
you get those teenagers pouring glue in them, things like that.
So I've been asked a number of times if I own Lucid stock. I do not. I considered. I wanted to invest in Lucid last summer when I went out to Arizona to see the place myself. But they're
They made him cry.
insistent.
They made Brian cry.
They made me cry. They made me cry. Their insistence on a hostile veil of privacy is alarming and concerning as an investor. To me, it was nothing but red flags. So it could keep going up. The stock could go up, but without being able to see anything inside the box, it's just a black box. And I don't buy black boxes.
Okay, you don't buy black boxes. That's
I have to be able to see inside the box to know what I'm buying. JJ says, why do y'all keep bringing up inefficiencies? Efficiencies. Fossil fuels are 35%. We lose 65% to the air that doesn't stop us. It will. It will. Those days are coming to a close. Slowly, but surely.
JJ, that's why we're moving on.
The fact that we've done something poorly in the past is not a good justification to do things poorly in the future. Especially new things.
Yes, agreed. We have the government that can handle doing that. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
So I've got some real problems, Bear. I'm concerned about fires.
Fires? What kind of fires?
Well, all kinds for starters. But I've heard that electric cars catch on fire so often that I've even seen articles about it.
You know what? When I was driving home the other day, I saw 3 EVs on fire.
I don't believe it.
They're just burning up everywhere. Everywhere I go, it's like every corner. It's like they've got a barrel that they're heating for, because it's so cold out. They're just lighting EVs on fire because they're going up by themselves.
When the Porsche Taycan first came out, there was one fire, and it was headline news. To my knowledge, there has not been a second fire, but that story is still out there.
Well, it could have been breaking news. If it was only headline news, I mean, they didn't interrupt this important broadcast. All right. The study came out and said that EV fires are nearly non-existent. For every 100,000 sales of an ICE car, you will see about 1,500 fires, a little bit more than 1,500. For hybrid cars, you'll see more than double that. You'll see 3,400 plus fires for every 100,000 cars. For just plain old EVs, 25 for every 100,000, and there's a good chance that 90% of those were bolts.
There actually is, though.
Yeah.
That is actually, I mean, it's a good joke, but it's still true.
It was only meant half jokingly. It's funny in an ironic sort of way that it's just some engineer somewhere at LG screwed up and he caused 90% of all the fires. That's where we're at. There was 52 total fires during this time frame. What was this time frame? I'm not even sure what this time frame was.
Paul pointed out that Mary led in EV fires, and it mattered.
They probably had more EV fires during this time frame than they produced in the last quarter of bolts in the last quarter. So that's an impressive number also. Just different ways to look at it. So I think this was supposedly might have been last year or the year before. I'm just missing that number right now. So total fires was 52 for EVs during this time frame. For gas cars, it was just under 200,000, and for hybrids, it was just over 16,000. But what do you think's going to make the news?
A lot of people will like to point out, and it's not unfair, is that 200,000 represents cars that could be 50 or 100 or just 20 years old, where the EVs are all brand new and hopefully less prone to fire. What we should be comparing is fires on new cars versus new cars. But, here we are.
Well, that is true. But hybrids are relatively newer cars. If we are counting the 1980 F100 pickup truck that gets caught on fire because the carburetor had a loose fuel line, that's going towards the gas list. But as far as hybrids go, hybrids are relatively
new.
Yeah. And besides the Prius and a couple others, hybrids haven't really become mainstream until 10 years ago or so. So
they're a lot more common than you think because they're not always clearly marked.
Right.
I mean, Saturn had hybrids.
Yeah.
Before they disappeared.
Well, but selling 6 hybrids, I don't know if that counts. Just saying.
I don't know how many they sold. I just knew a guy who had one.
You probably knew the guy who had that
I
line.
may have known the guy.
Yeah. Oh, these chat messages are getting away from me here.
Yeah. There was someone in there saying that I need to buy Lucid stock because then I'll get more subscribers. Um, if that's all it takes, then I can say that I've bought Lucid stock. I prefer to be honest with my audience. Um,
Brian, I just bought you one share of Lucid stock. It's in
Sweet.
a trust account.
Well,
You'll get.
and that's the thing is if I want to be an honest liar, I can go buy one share and be like, well, I'm a shareholder and I believe XYZ. I could do that.
You could, but you're not that type of guy.
No,
Um,
no.
yeah, but speaking of Lucid stock, the lockup is supposed to open up, I believe,
Yeah.
tomorrow. It's either,
What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, it went down a couple bucks today, so it's possible, depending on what the market does. If the market's, I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be a profit taking day and it's going to go back up, most of the stocks. Um, but if there is a big sell off in Lucid, I could see people jumping on that bandwagon and going, the Saudis are selling, the Saudis are selling. Um, I'll have a buy order in if the price reaches a certain point. Uh, just I'm standing by ready, so I'm going to be watching that. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm just
I wouldn't be surprised to see a small amount of shares sold, but I would be very surprised if the Saudis were to divest by more than 5 or 10%.
but that still
I
represents
believe
a
they are
lot of
absolutely
shares. It's
yes,
still a lot of shares, and it's going to.
right. But I don't mean they would do it all at once. I think they would do it over time, and I'd be surprised if it's more than that. Deeps wants to know how much battery acid will get on me in a car accident. Well, regardless of whether it's a gas or electric car, I would say none.
Yeah, none.
I'm not familiar with that having happened to anyone ever.
Well, I've gotten battery acid poured on me when I was pulling a battery out and it slipped. Does that count?
Um, was it the before they were sealed or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I accidentally slipped, so technically it was an accident.
uh,
No?
JKM bought 1,200 more Nikola today at 919.
You know what? My wife's at work and she's got, she had some spare change that she gave me to, um, to buy some stock with and, trying to be the good husband and get her permission. And with her work, she's not always reachable. And I was like, it's at $9.26. And I'm just waiting for her to say, go ahead, go ahead. It's her money and she worked overtime for it. So I'm going to be respectful of that. And by the time she got back to me, the market was closed. And it's at a very good price for Nikola as far as if you've been watching it for a while. It hasn't much ever dipped below the level that it's at right now. I'm not recommending it because I do not give financial advice, but I am just saying that if you are a person that likes Nikola stock, now's a good time to bring your average down if you bought at 50.
So the trick with valuing Nikola is that most of the companies they're competing with, Kenworth is a division of PACCAR. You can't determine the value of Kenworth individually with much, clarity. Most of these, Mercedes makes semis. It's part of a bigger group. It's difficult to determine the value based because there's not very many freestanding publicly traded semi truck manufacturers.
True dat.
So yeah, um, I was asked a little bit ago by someone if I still believe that uh, Tesla may build a plant in India, even though there's very little sales in India right now, and I will be revisiting that. Excuse me. I will be revisiting all the factory ideas in a week or two, probably two, because I'm going deeper into the math on it. But I still think India is a top contender for many reasons, which I laid out in a video called Giga Mumbai is going to happen, something like that.
Yeah, that's not clicky ish.
Yeah.
When give me a date, Brian. No, seriously though, Dale Waldo says both Lucid and Tesla still have 12-volt lead acid batteries. Uh, Tesla
Tesla
is
doesn't.
Tesla
I think
is
they switched.
they're switching this quarter, and they're getting rid of
Mm.
their lead acid, their 12-volt battery, and they are replacing it, I believe, with a lithium ion of some sort.
Yeah, I know they've already done it in the Plaid, and
Hmm.
I know that's plans to be changed.
That's the first thing I'm going to check when I get my Model 3 is I'm going to rip that cover off underneath the front. I want to know if I'm getting the latest. Otherwise, I'm going to reject the car. Nah, I'm going to hold out
Right?
for that.
So we're coming up on an hour. We've two more that we're kind of thinking we should probably get through.
Yeah, we can blow through these two real quick. They're one of them is a little interesting because it's just a little weird,
Hmm.
and the other one goes back to that we were talking about chargers earlier.
Yeah.
Um, Sold out Swedish Jetson One personal Vtol is set for delivery in 2022. So this is a Jetson car. It's a flying car, and it's supposedly coming out uh, soon. Uh, 2022. Well, that's now, but it's supposed to be
That's now.
yeah, it's supposed to be later in 2022. Now I don't know if you guys have seen this video. I'm going to shut the volume off on that before we get some sort of copyright strike for the
Right?
music. Uh, but this car flies low to the ground, and it's kind of cool looking. It looks like fun, but it's $92,000, and I can't get on it because I'm too fat. Sort of like the cyber quad I got on yesterday, where I broke the frame with my fat hiney. No, I didn't. But um, this is about the same. This is will carry more than a cyber quad. The cyber quad does not fly. This does fly. Yeah, so they're going to come start making these, and this is going to be headline news when the first one of these crashes and somebody dies. The
Yeah, they're making so few of them. And if you look at the design, it's simple, it's finished. I think they can absolutely get them out this year. I think they will. And it'll be, I think it's going to happen. Is it going to change the world? Not necessarily. You should bring yours over. Um, yeah, I think it's very, very cool.
Well, I agree. It's very cool. I'm a little upset that I've been discriminated against, and I can't get into it because I'm slightly over 210 pounds. I take offense to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, wow. Beer, huh? Great. Now we're going to get demonetized. I hope that's really just a Sprite.
It's San Pellegrino sparkling water.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, I also wonder about height limitations. Like, how tall can you be to be in one of these things? What do you think?
Well, I assume it has a narrow range of minimum and maximum height.
Well, it's a 20,
But the bigger concern is weight.
yeah,
Is
20,
weight.
20-minute flight time, 63 miles per hour. I'm not sure how high it can go. I don't see any mention of that. Um, I'd be scared to
How
go
high would
high.
you want to go?
You know,
I wouldn't want to go very high.
it almost doesn't matter if you're at 30 feet and the battery's cut off. You're kind of screwed. So I hope that the batteries are very redundant. I think it was Jeff Roberts just had his battery go bad on his drone, and he
Yeah,
crash landed on the roof in Giga Texas. And
yeah,
we've thought about that, Riley and I, when we're doing these flyovers. You've got one battery, and if that battery pack suddenly decides to say, "I'm dead," you drop out of the sky no matter where you're at.
right.
If there's battery issues, the drones do know, okay, you're running low on power. We're going to send you return to home, which is a feature
Right.
of drones. And if it can't return to home, it's going to land safely at some point. It's not going to just go crash. It's going to go, okay, I'm lowering my altitude and I'm going to land because I have absolutely no power left. I assume there's some sort of feature like that in there. But my question is is there multiple battery packs where if one battery pack fails, then and go, okay, we're landing because we're,
So
or do you just
visually,
drop out of the
I
sky?
see I see what I think is a battery pack under the back and under the front. And I would assume that they would have some kind of redundant failsafe where if something is all of a sudden going bonkers, they they have like a return to home.
Yeah. Either, well, it's just a land immediately type of thing. But I wouldn't get on that if it was a single battery pack. Not ever, because it doesn't take much for
Right.
for a battery to fail out of
Right.
the blue and you go plummeting towards your death. What about you guys? Would you guys get on that? Let
Yeah.
us know in the
That,
comments.
yeah, I would be very
I
curious.
know you'd put JJ on there, wouldn't you?
um, we did get a comment from JJ. Oof, time to work out. The other problem is Bear's quite tall, so I think all you need to do is just chop him off at the knees, and that should drop enough weight.
What if there's leg pedals? What am I gonna do with no legs? Come on.
Yeah, yeah, jab, just stab it with your stumps. Okay, so we are already after the hour mark, and we've got one more story to go, and this matters.
Yeah, I'll let you get this one.
Blink to deploy level 2 EV chargers at GM dealerships across North America. Because if there's one thing you need to charge your car, it's a requirement that you go to a dealership to do it, and that you are then stuck there for hours and hours because it's a level 2. I mean, that's not what it's for, but the important part is Mary led.
Yes, we could not have an episode of fast charging without talking about Mary leading the way, besides the Bolt fires. But hey, Mary led, and I'm sure she personally worked this deal out to get these Blink Level 2 chargers set up at GM dealers. I'm not really sure what they're going to use these for. Obviously, people are going to come park there and charge up for 8 hours because these appear to be like level 2 chargers at like 30 amps. So you're looking at 23 miles per hour if they are 30 amp. Oh, this one says 80, producing 80 amps. So you're going to be at about
5 hours.
no, you're going to be at like 39 to 40 miles per hour with an 80 amp output for most cars, somewhere in that range. And it's a 19.2 kilowatt. So like we were talking earlier, Brian, about charging on a Tesla level 2 charger that was 16 kilowatts, and it was going to take 5.5 hours to charge the car up from about 80, had 80 miles, and to get to the 230 that it was set for.
Right.
It was about five,
And,
five and a half hours.
realistically, these are probably more for the dealers to have for the service center and for the test drives. And if you've got a car out and you're test driving it all day, how do you juice it back up? Blink level 2.
Yes, I mean they've got to put something in there, and really making fun of them is we're just taking an easy shot at Mary because
Right. And this is a good thing.
yeah,
We are just being honestly, if you guys really want to know the under the hood workings here, we already had the show all done, all set up, all ready to go. We had about 10 minutes until we went on and we were like, oh, Mary led.
yeah.
Let me find something. Uh, by the way, Mark asked, the Bolt charges at 50 kilowatts, right? No, I think it's actually 50 feet from any structure is how they charge. Batteries are too heavy. Oh, there was a question about, do we think Tesla and really others will go into planes and whatnot? And the answer is yes. I don't know about Tesla. Is a company in Arlington, Washington called Eviation, I think, that's already got a test plane that they're ready to start testing. Um, they're ready. The batteries are not, but they are. And as soon as the batteries improve, there will be more and more of these. There are already short commuter flights that use electric planes, and I mean short, like 20-mile flights. This will absolutely happen. Will Tesla be involved in it? Remains to be seen. Another question I saw was, will Tesla get into the electronics business? And Sort of the answer is they already are. They're a chip designer in a big way. They're a battery designer in a big way. And these are things that could be licensed out to others, if not sold at some point in the future. So, yes, I say so.
I would agree, and I think Elon Musk says that he would love to tackle the VTOL issue, except for the fact that he just hasn't gotten to there in his life.
Right,
But I know
right.
he has definitely expressed a desire to do
Yeah.
that.
So next week, guys, we will be simulcasting again on both channels. So not just on Bears Workshop, but also on My Tesla Weekend. And that'll be great. We'll have a lot more fun, new topics. I sure appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Bear, it was wonderful to chat with you, as always.
You know what, Brian? It was great to talk to you too. I feel like I'm talking internationally right now, which is something I don't normally get to do. But hey, Brian's in the DR. He'll be back. He won't have any more issues next week, which is great because
Right.
I don't need all this pressure on me. I'm trying to get this all set up. I kind of get
Right.
stressed out a little bit sometimes, but
Yeah.
I think I did okay. So, hey everyone, thank you for watching. Please hit that like button on this video. Please share it out. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Like I said, go to Brian's channel, subscribe over there if you haven't already. And we appreciate you watching. I'll be back for my next live stream tomorrow for the Lucid live stream. Brian, do you know when yours is?
I'll be doing a premiere on Friday in lieu of a live stream, but I'm live in the chat and I leave a few minutes at the end to talk with folks who show up.
All right. Sounds good. At this point, we are going to sign off. Thank you, everybody. Brian, wave, courtesy wave. All right. We'll see you guys next time.